when Synergy first began, I asked a friend of mine, an older gentleman who's a fundraising consultant, I asked him, what is the number one thing that you think the best donor management software could do? Now, this was back in the days that we had a DOS version, and he said in his very stately manner, segmentation, list segmentation, getting the right message to the right audience at the right point in time. That's really what donor management software is all about. And I actually kind of agree with that. Denari software has always had that mentality that it's the outputs where the benefit comes from. It's the reports. It's the ability to learn something. And, you know, who wants to enter data? I mean, that's sort of a necessary evil, if you will, you know, getting the data in there, but it's getting it out at the right point in time. Segmentation is one variety. That's when you're going to communicate out the door to the audience, to people. There are also internal reports that are for clerical, accounting kinds of things, and also reports that are a little bit more executive. Let's take a look at some of those varieties for a minute and see the power of Denari's reporting. First, executive reports, or we call them quick reports. These are reports where you just think an idea and do a click. We like to call it reading the user's mind and not asking a lot of questions. So recent batches, you know, what's come in recently? Oh, okay, I see. And these 40 here, show me what those are. Click, drill down, let's see them again. Oh, great. And who's this guy? And click, and we get the third one. So this drill down ease of use. The next layer would be reports that are parameterized, where you get to answer some questions and you get more flexibility. Here I'm going to enter a few things. Maybe I'll give it a name, and I'll pick a summary level concept. And also I could pick a date range and then tell it to run. So here we see that I have some more flexibility, but I also have a little bit more responsibility to know how to answer the questions. We find that some executives are not prepared to answer those questions, and some clerical people are, and so it's it just takes a little bit more learning curve. This particular one was custom to be a zip code summary based on the first 2 digits. Lets me kind of break things down, but it's an obscure report. It's unique, and it had parameters that I wanted. I can easily export this to Excel. It's a nice characteristic of our reporting. We use something called Microsoft Reporting Services. This allows this particular report to be downloaded from the web to local, to be downloaded from HTML into Excel, and it launches this report locally. Kind of a nice integration of web-based and desktop-based. We also offer the ability to memorize these reports, to make them favorites. And so as I save it as a favorite, what that means is that the parameters that I put in now become memorized, that it knows what it's doing. And here's my list of parameterized reports, and I can have as many as I want. So here's my TK summary by zip code. A nice characteristic of these is distribution. The system already knows what you want, and it knows what date range and that sort of thing. Let's look at frequency. How often do you want this? Well, how about weekly? Give it to me every Monday morning. And I'd like it to be distributed by email, and send it to Bill at AOL.com and Mary at wayfm.org, and whatever. In other words, these are outside of Denari. They're just users. So the system is memorizing this request. While you're at home in bed catching Z's, it's going to be running your report for you every Monday or every day, however often you want it. Let's look now at the segmenters. These are the quote I gave earlier. The most powerful, most important characteristic of a database is to get the right message to the right audience at the right point in time. A fancy way of saying segmentation. Segmentation is just getting the right people. And so we allow this to be based on virtually anything you could want. Name classifications, for example, are the characteristics of the demographics, their involvement and their interests and whatever else you know about them. That is unlimited. You can have as many codes as you want, and I could say, yeah, I want these 4 here. Anyone that has those, include them in the mailing. Or maybe I want to remove that, no problem. And we get into fancy things like and or, NAND and NOR, database things. Not going to worry about that. It's push button simplicity. As we expand the discussion, we see giving statistics. We might want to filter based on first gift date. You may want to say, yeah, I want it to be within the last year, nice and simple. Or it might be something I'm not concerned about. We may look at last gift date or largest gift range, dollar amount. You may want to look at name acquisition. How did we acquire this name? What was the period of time that we got it in? You may want to look at geographic filtering. I'm going to be traveling to a certain part of the country. I'm going to be in the West Palm Beach area. And who do we have that's within 20 miles of where we're going to be? Who do we have that's within, say, 20 miles of where we're going to be? Nice characteristic to be able to mix into it. The end result of all this is that you have the who. You have the people, as we call the who. Who are the people that live here and gave this and did that? Who are they? Now that we have the who, we want to know the what. Well, how do I want to output this? Maybe I want 5160 labels. That's the ones that are the most common. Maybe I want to export this to something like Excel. And if I'm exporting it, maybe I want some extra data like giving statistics or targeted ask values. Targeted ask values will key off of perhaps their largest gift and will calculate based on percentages actual ask values. This is a relatively sophisticated feature that will create like a low, medium, high, 25, 50, 75, or 50, 75, 100, or 100, 200, 300, whatever the appropriate levels are for that particular donor. Denari also allows for a gift segmenter. This is the ability to filter whatever gifts you might want based on whatever characteristics you might need. For example, a date range between a certain range. An appeal code. How did you acquire the gift? Based on appeal code or campaign, all the ranges, all the operators. The detail level, the dollar amount, charitable, non-charitable. Perhaps you want just charitable or just non-charitable or tributes. So all of the characteristics of gifts are available for filtering. As powerful as Denari's reporting is, sometimes there are situations where you need something that's just kind of over the top. And we'll call upon our extended name segmenter. This is the ability to combine multiple segments into a more complex project. Now, admittedly, this is pretty advanced, but it's set theory where we're mixing together multiple name segments into one final output. Deals with ands and ors, nands and nors. The end result of that is that there's essentially nothing that we can't come up with in our segmenter. Literally, there's essentially nothing. Sometimes the complexity is a little bit high. That's where our support comes in. Being web-based, we do offer unlimited support, complimentary, and it's staffed by people that actually know what they're doing, who have worked for charities. So if you're doing one of these really sophisticated ones, since the software is able to do it, it has the features, then what you're really left with is how to set it up. And that's where our support guys can really help. You can call in and you can have them maybe set it up for you and then you run it or have them kind of hold your hand through the process. The bottom line is that reports are really why we do databases. It's really the ability to produce the output, whether it be to the donor or whether it be a more clerical report or a more executive report. You really want that to be powerful and easy. Denari balances the two into a very comprehensive and usable tool.